girls, Ken Smith Fishing. So, you know, we got this non-endemic sponsor for us bass fishermen this year, Spark Energy. And when I first agreed to a partnership basically with them, we had some conversations, and I did some research based upon my pricing on my electricity provider, and I found that there was some stuff that I called in the earliest video gimmicky pricing. And I want to show you today kind of the process I went through, and I had a guy email me and say, oh my gosh, Spark's pricing is way higher than what I'm seeing online. And then he and I talked through it, and he was wrong, and he wasn't wrong, he was fooled. So let's take a look at this together. So this very first page is a Google, and as you know, for those of us in Texas, you can go to Power to Choose, and it's not .com, but you can go to Power to Choose, and it will allow you to, if you're in an unregulated area, it will allow you to look at the various plans available to you in your area. So you can see what I did here is I Googled Power to Choose. And what's interesting is the first thing that comes up at the top that looks like Power to Choose is actually choosetexaspower.org. And that's not the same thing. That's actually an electricity company who's figured out how to get to the top of this search. And if you go down there, all the way down, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth in that list is the actual Power to Choose organization. And if you click on that, if you click on any of those other ones, by the way, you're getting some different optics on what's available to you. And I'll explore that if you'll just bear with me for a minute. So this is what the Power to Choose landing page looks like. You just enter your zip code, and this is what popped up. So this is for my area code today. Today is March the 9th. There were 3 questions. How much is your usage? And I said, I don't know. Do you want a fixed or variable rate plan? I said, I want a fixed rate plan. I just saw what happened with this issue with the electricity in Texas, so I want a fixed rate plan. And I want to lock it in for a while. I don't want a 12-month plan. I want a 24 to 36-month plan. And this is what popped up, and you'll see on the list there, first choice power at 8.4 cents per kilowatt hour, and then I can't read the next one, direct energy, and blah, blah, blah on down the line. And what I'll tell you is what you really want to look at, because there are some games. And by the way, this first carrier that pops up does not play these games. But what you want to look at is that right there. And that's something called a fact sheet. And when you click on that, it pulls up the EFL, the electricity facts label. And these are largely all the same template. I'll show you the difference in a minute. But this will let you figure out what you're really going to be paying for your electricity. So, and interestingly, by the way, there's 47 plans listed in my area code. Not one of them is Spark Energy. Now, I don't understand that. I'm not a marketing person. I don't know what you pay or don't pay to be included on this list. But you can see all the way down there, there's Clean Sky Energy at 14.1 cents per kilowatt hour, which is almost double what that best priced one is. So what I'm going to say to you is, just because, and you're going to see this, just because Spark doesn't pop up at the top of this list doesn't mean it's not a really good price. And oh, by the way, the price on Spark Fishing, www.sparkfishing, you've got to type it in, because if you Google search Spark Fishing, other people are stealing it. They've already figured this out. They figured out, stealing's maybe not the right word, but they figured out how to divert you somewhere else. So type it in, www.sparkfishing.com, and I'll show you in a minute where that takes you. But, well, matter of fact, let's talk about it right there. So that's the landing page of what it looks like. You can see Bass Champs, Spark Energy, and myself partnered together this year. And at the bottom of that page, it looks like that. Now, you can do all of this over the phone, and I did. Everything I'm about to show you, I've got a degree in finance, but it is from the University of Arkansas. And everything I'm about to show you is because I talked to a very good customer service person at Spark Energy through the Spark Fishing phone number, so 877-547-7275. And if you do that, make sure to tell them you want the Spark Bass deal, because it's very, very slightly better in most markets. In my market, it's 0.2 of a penny per kilowatt hour cheaper than what it is otherwise. So you click on that and it says enroll, and you're not enrolling. All you're really doing is seeing the plans available to you. And in my space, you see right there, it's 8.7 normally, and it's 8.5 cents per kilowatt hour. But once again, know what you're buying. So if you click on that little details tab right there, it'll take you to this page. And now on that, so there's a bunch of plans there, but on that plan, you can now see the same thing, that EFL, electricity fax label. And now you see what Sparks look like. And I laid them side by side, that first choice power and the Spark Energy right there. And then what I did was I peeled those out and I dumped them in an Excel spreadsheet, and I said, okay. And by the way, so what it looks like there is there's 3 different plans: 500 kilowatt hour plan, 1,000 kilowatt hour plan, and 2,000 kilowatt hour plan. And in fact, it's not. There's one plan. It's just showing you the higher your usage, what your kilowatt hour charge is. So for example, on the first choice, they have a base charge of $4.95. Well, the more hours you use, the more that gets diluted, so your price comes down. This is what that looks like. So these are those 2 plans laid side by side. And let's just read down first choice power right there. If you burn 500 kilowatt hours of power in a month, their actual charge is only 4.1 cents per kilowatt hour. So 4.1 cents times 500 hours is $20.50. They don't, I'm going to show you what usage credit is in a minute, but they don't play that game. That's 0. TDU is who delivers the energy to you. It's the same across all of my area code, and it's different across Texas. But every carrier, no matter who I choose, would have the same price here. A $3.42 per month charge. And then they also get, for the delivery of the electricity, 3.493 cents per kilowatt hour. So again, you multiply that times 500, and they make $17.46.5 for your charges. This particular plan has a minimum usage charge, which they call in this case a base fee of $4.95 a month. So if you add those up, and what you're adding up here is you're adding up the TDU delivery charge, the usage charge, the $4.95 per month charge, and you'll see that you'd be paying $46.34, and you divide that by 500 kilowatt hours and you'd be paying 9.3 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, you do that same math at 1,000 kilowatt hours, which is where they advertise their price at, and it's 8.4 cents per kilowatt hour. And then at 2,000 hours, it comes down a little bit because, again, that $3.42 delivery charge and that $4.95 monthly charge gets further diluted, and you're only paying 80 cents per kilowatt hour. They're a little bit better across the board than Spark. Spark's not the cheapest. Spark is 10.8 cents at 5 kilowatt hours because if you burn very little, they actually have an $8.99 minimum usage charge, but then they have no base or usage charge once you get above 500 kilowatt hours. So they're at 86 cents, so 0.2 of a penny, that's right, 0.2 of a penny per kilowatt hour higher. And then they're 5 cents per penny per kilowatt hour higher at 2,000 kilowatt hours. Now, if you want the absolute cheapest deal, you would think first choice power would be the deal. But there's a little wrinkle in the Spark one, and it's right there. And what it says is, if you will enroll in paperless billing and sign up for automatic payments, they'll give you a $50 rebate after 1 month and another $50 rebate after 6 months. And if you kind of pile that back into it, so what I did here is I figured out the annual cost. So let's just use 1,000 hours. With first choice power, we already know they're at 8.4 cents per kilowatt hour if you use 1,000 hours every month. So you'd spend $1,011 in a year on your power if you used exactly that amount every month. But because Spark would refund you that $100, you would be $1,036 refunded $100 to $936, and they're actually cheaper than the cheapest plan per kilowatt hour on powertochoose.org. Be careful, .org. And I didn't do this for every market, but what Spark told me was, we're gonna reward you guys. They're paying us money through Bass Champs. We got $250 per month giveaway. They're both donating money to Share A Lunker, and you can win money through Share A Lunker. They're trying to make us as fishermen, and by the way, you don't have to be a fisherman to get this deal, but they're trying to make us loyal customers, and they're giving us an uber competitive rate. Super competitive. I guess Uber is a company now, but they're giving us a super competitive rate to try to get us to join them and be loyal to them. And they're giving back to us. So what I would say to you is, give them a shot. Look, if you have to pay $2 more per month or $7 more per month for a company that supports our passions and it's given to Parks and Wildlife, Share A Lunker program, and you can win money fishing, maybe it's worth giving them a shot and rewarding them for being a non-endemic sponsor to all of us in the fishing industry. And oh, by the way, with the rebate, if you're willing to go paperless and let them set you up on an automatic bank draft or on a credit card payment, it's cheaper anyway. So I had a guy reach out to me and say, man, I went to Power to Choose and I found a 6.9 cent per kilowatt hour rate. And I scratched my head and I said, you got to share that with me. And what he did was, he did exactly what I showed you at the beginning of this presentation. He Google searched Power to Choose, and it took him to choosetexaspower.com. And I called these guys and I said, are you an energy broker or are you an energy provider? And man, they didn't want to answer my question. Come to find out, they have deals with multiple energy providers, and they're a marketing organization. So I took a deeper dive, and I took the deep, by the way, this guy is now a Spark customer that called me about this. Once again, you click on that more info right there in the middle, and you get their EFL page. And guess what? Look at the charge up there under energy charge. 13.07 cents per kilowatt hour versus basically less than 5 cents with the two carriers we just looked at. So how do they advertise such a cheap rate? Well, here's how they do it. And by the way, I'm not picking on them, I'm just giving you the example. It's JEXA. And if you go at the 500 kilowatt, so they advertise 1,000 kilowatt hours. And what their program says is, if you burn between 1,000 and 2,000, specifically, not 999 and not 2001, if you burn 1,000 to 2,000 kilowatt hours in a given month, they'll throw you a $100 usage credit. What if you burn less than 1,000? Well, you burn 500. It's 13 cents, 13.07 cents per kilowatt hour. You can do the math down there. And that charge would be $86 for that usage versus First Choice Power at $46 and Spark at $53. First Choice is still the cheapest. But here's what they do. They know most people only look at that 1,000 kilowatt hour. And when you get that $100 rebate, their price drops all the way to 6.9 cents per kilowatt hour. But then, versus 0.84 versus 0.78 with Spark. And by the way, that's the annual fee, the annual rate on Spark. Then go to 2,000 hours. And suddenly that $100 doesn't help you so much because you're still paying 13 cents per kilowatt hour. And your bill is $234 versus 160 or 169 at First Choice or at Spark. That's a huge difference. That's a $70 difference. I'm going to say that's a 40% higher energy cost in those summer months when we all get those high energy bills. This is that gimmicky pricing I was talking about. This looks very bait and switchy to me. And if you go to 3,000 hours, now I took First Choice out of this because I got so many columns. But look what happens under the JEXA plan in August when you run your air conditioner the whole time. Your bill now, even with by the way, the $100 credit went away because you went over 2,000 kilowatt hours in a month. It's now $500 for 3,000 kilowatt hours versus half that, literally $252, half that at Spark Energy. And by the way, same for the element First Choice as well. So that's that gimmicky pricing crud I was talking about. That again is not at that is not at firstchoice.org. That's at that other company, firstchoice.com, and there's a whole bunch of them. You saw there were 4 of them in the Google search that showed up before the organization that actually kind of adheres to, here looks like some of the best deals for you. So all I'm saying to you is they're willing to support us. Do the math. I'll be glad to help you do this, but I'll tell you right now, the ladies at the customer service at Spark Energy walk me through this process. On your bill, it will tell you what your average usage is. This is not hard to figure out once you understand how this works. And for me, I want Spark to do this again next year. I want them to donate to fishing tournaments, donate to Share A Lunker, continue with our monthly drawings. The only way that's going to do that is if this makes financial sense for them and we support them like they're supporting us. So give them a shot when your power contract expires. Give them a look. Look, you know, in this scenario, yeah, you'll pay $17 more per month at 1,000 kilowatt hours, but good gosh, in those summer months when you really get killed on your energy, it's going to be a huge difference. And Spark is competitive, as I've looked, in every market across Texas, under pretty much any plan. We got multiple plans, but remember, the plans at Spark Fishing are a little bit less expensive even than the plans at Spark Energy's own landing page website. They're giving us a little bit better deal. You don't have to be a fisherman to take advantage of that. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. I hope that makes sense. If you have questions about it, please reach out. Remember, this weekend alone at Bass Champs, the first tournament Saturday, the East at Rayburn, there's 4,000 grand up for grabs for the top 10 highest finishing Spark customers. So whoever is a Spark customer in the top 10 that's the highest finisher will win 4 grand. There'll be 2 grand up for grabs Sunday. If nobody wins it Saturday, it'll be 6 grand Sunday. If nobody wins it Sunday, it'll be 8 grand at the next tournament. They're rewarding us for being customers. Let's give them a shot at becoming one of their customers. Thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all watching.